We're going to start this evening with a presentation that is about presenting. Tonight is all about presenting. Let me just get to where I'm supposed to be. And we'll open it up here. All right, so with that said, presenting is really, I've been studying a lot of the Eric Worre material, and I find it's really helpful and just so powerful through the GoPro event that I went to, a 3-hour event. So I'm sharing a lot of the material with you that I've gained from going to the GoPro event. And this was a slide. Apparently he had done a talk in 1993 where he was speaking to a large group of people and talking about how in the 1900, if you look at the green in that chart there in 1900, the majority of people were self-employed and 10% were working for other people or the government. And then around 1980, it completely reversed. 10% were self-employed and 90% worked for other or the government. And I think we're at a time now when people are looking for more security, freedom. I'm sure people feel so much better with the fact that they've had some time to be home. I know Jennifer Cancio is on tonight, and she was saying how it felt so good to not have to do the things that she was working at and being able to really focus on her Shaklee business and staying home. And I think there are a lot of people out there that are feeling that way, and that the percentages are going to increase in our favor regarding bringing people into our Shaklee business and sharing the Shaklee business. And in order to share the Shaklee business, we've gone through making a list in the last few times we've met. We've talked about listening to people, not judging people in terms of making up their mind, prejudging them, but to create a list of people that you can contact. And of course, now is such a great time because Roger and Shaklee have created a program where they're having a major push March 21st through the 24th on reaching at least 30 people. And that is something that I want to talk to, and I'll expand upon it at the end of this presentation. But if you look here, you see on the left, there's really two characters or two elements of presenting, which I thought really interesting. There's only two different categories of presenting, and it's your prospects. So for example, Joan talked about her prospect, and I'm sure what Joan did and what I have done, and I'll use an example of what I have done recently. I have a gardener here who's helping me create a cut flower garden, and I've shared my story with her, and in sharing my story with her, she shared her story with me. And as it turned out, with this COVID situation, she was feeling very stressed and very anxious. So I introduced her to stress relief, but I also shared with her the tool. And when he says, share your story, well, I'm going to give you 4 elements to what your story should look like, or how the outline should be. And Pam's going to discuss another aspect of how you create your story. But then instead, you're going to use a third-party reference with them. You're going to share your the thing. So with her, what I shared with her was the reference guide. And I said, here's your stress relief complex. Here's your reference guide. In this reference guide, it speaks about stress relief, so please read up on it. I didn't have to talk science to her. I didn't have to talk about what's in stress relief. I used the third party to teach her about it. Same with H2. She got H2 and the spray bottles, and she's reviewing the material through the reference guide. The thing could be, have them talk to your upline, have them come to a lunch and learn, have them look at a video, give them a Shaklee TV. Those are all third party. Send them a podcast. whatever third party you're going to use with your prospect is really the way that you're going to work with your prospect. And then the second category is all other prospects. Now, what does that mean? That means when you start building an organization, and pretty much anyone who's a director and above here are in the all other prospects, because what's going to happen, and I'm going to use, let's say, Joan or Donna as an example. Joan might come to you and say, can you help me give an opportunity presentation for so-and-so? So that takes the heat off of Joan, even though Joan's a director and can certainly do it herself, but it gives her that other introduction of another person that you can help her build her organization. The same would be true, let's say, for my helping, if I'm helping Lauren B., and she has a prospect that she's talked to, that she's given a tool to, she's given a thing to, and then she says, you know, Joanne, they want to hear more. Can I introduce them to you? And that's my job. So all other prospects, I then share my story. I do the opportunity presentation. I help teach them how to get started, and I help them with the skills training. So your prospect, you're going to use your story, and you're going to share the thing that you'd like to send them once they show an interest. And all other prospects that come to you from your downline, you're going to share your story, and you're going to share the presentation, opportunity presentation, or it could be a health presentation or something else to encourage the building of your downline person. Okay, I'm going to go to the next slide, but I'm going to open this up. Again, when we ask questions, I want everyone to respect that there are a lot of people on tonight, and that we want to limit our conversation with one person so we can I don't want someone to monopolize the time, because we have a lot of people on that really want to be able to be heard. Does anyone have questions about what I just presented? Now's the time to ask. Does it make sense? Say yes if it makes, yeah. You can open up your mics. Does it make sense to you about what your steps are? What I want to share with you is it's your story, and we're going to talk a little bit about concept of, I don't know how many of you have written your story or done your story, but a lot of times people that are new they don't understand. So, and I'll use Bill as an example. Let's say Bill wants to, you know, he's going through health challenges, and that's his primary concern right now, get healthy. So that's where his story will start, is because he needs to get healthy. And then after that, that's his conversation, that will be his story. We all have a story. My dad died from obesity at 55 years old. I was a yoga teacher. You know, I mean, so I know my story. You have to develop your story, and we're going to talk about a little bit about that now. I know those of us that are seasoned people, we've talked our story forever. You know, new people that you're going to have. Now, remember, it's all about duplication, everybody. We want to duplicate ourselves to build an organization, correct?
Right.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So in doing that, we have to follow a simple process that someone can duplicate, and it is in sharing the story. The other thing that I learned, and it was Faye Burke said it, and Eric Worre said it, and we know this, conversations with people. Now, I was talking to Lauren, and Lauren's an introvert, and I said to her, you know, I'm an introvert. And even though I don't look like an introvert and I don't act like an introvert, when I first started my business, I could hardly say my name. I really couldn't stand up in front of a room and even say my name without my knees shaking and wanting to faint. So, and Faye made a very good point. She goes, you know, an introvert is one of the better people in this business because they actually talk less and listen more. So it was really insightful for that. But Eric Worre said, if you're not having conversations with people, and I'll share what his statement was after we go to this next step. I've asked Pam to cover this topic, and she's heard it maybe once. And that's a leader, who hears it once. You never get really good at anything until you teach it. So I asked Pam to cover the heart, head, hand, and heart way to produce your story. Pam, are you up for that?
Yes, I am.
Okay.
Telling your story, there's all different ways to tell your story. And there's all different opportunities to tell your story. So, and there's different techniques. You're going to hear, this is one little technique about finding your story and being able to communicate it. But whatever it is for you, it's important to understand that your story will migrate to different avenues. So you'll have a story that you will speak when you're speaking to someone else face to face. You'll have the same story, but perhaps in a little different way, spoken over the phone. Your story also shows up on your, About Me page on your website. So you want to get really clear on your story. So wherever you are, if you bump into someone on the street and they say, hey, what's new? I haven't seen you in a while, and you can get into conversation, your story's always in your back pocket. And it's always something that you can respond to in a print, either if you do any mailings. As I said, so crafting your story takes a lot of time. And those of you who have worked on Dear Friend letters, you know that. It really takes a lot of digging to kind of understand what it is you want to communicate and how you can do it powerfully. So the heart, head, hand, heart method, if you will, that's on the left-hand side, that was just, I just learned about it through Pete Vargas, right? Joanne, that was the person who presented it. But you have to start with a heartfelt story. When Joanne talks about her father having such a short life because of his obesity issues, here's a story of a young person whose dad died really, really young. And if Joanne, I know I could say this, if she really wants to communicate more of the finer details about that story from her heart, it can make you cry because it's just so powerful. And oftentimes your heart story is so full of emotion. And that's not something to be afraid of when you tell your story. People, I always remember this phrase, people will not so much remember what you say to them, but they're always going to remember how you make them feel. So we want to transfer emotion. We want to be able to transfer feelings. That's what makes you really connect with people. So craft your story from your heart. The head component of that is to teach them something new. And that's a roadmap, and it include a time element. In the next 20 minutes, I'd like to share with you a little bit about blah, blah, blah. And that's the head element. And you want to be able to offer solutions at that point to a problem and teach them just one or two things. I never forget, Joanne, when I sat down with Bill Whitney Burt, your father introduced me to Bill Whitney Burt. This is since we're talking about Joanne's father, we'll stay on that topic, but he was being very nice and trying to get me a lead, and he introduced me to a gentleman friend of his who had some health issues, and we sat down at the booth in the Arrow, and I proceeded to tell him everything I knew about Shaklee Nutrition, everything and everything. And at the end of the thing, he said, I got you after the first two sentences. It was such a lesson to me not to go on and on and on. So when you do the head part, teach them something new, offer one or two options, and be done with it. And I'll give you an example of that that happened today. Why don't I just stay on the head part? I was in a conversation this afternoon, with a woman I really respect, and we were talking on the phone about how different it is not to have some cleaning help in the house. She typically had someone come once a month and once every couple of weeks, as I did. And she said, you know, I got that Ajax out and trying to clean my kitchen sink, and I realized how really awful it is, because that job didn't really happen. She didn't have to do that job typically. But now when we haven't had the opportunity to have helpers come into our homes, she was doing that. And I said, you know, I know how you feel. I felt the same way before I started using, I use this stuff called Nature Bright. She knows a little bit about chocolate. I said, you know, it's that stuff you put in your laundry to make the clothes brighten up, but has no chlorine and no fumes. And I also use it on my kitchen sink. I just put it on at night, and I come down in the morning and my sink is all white. She said, you know, I'd really like to know more about this. So what did I do next? This afternoon, I wrote her a note, said, you know, here's a link to a couple of things that we talked about. I'm going to be around over the weekend. You know, give me a call. We can chat further about it. And I did lead her, you know, because I wanted to give her, and this is the head part that Pete Vargas talks about, I want to offer her a real solution to that problem. Right now, the real solution is kind of Ajax on her white sink and it smells. That's her problem. That's all I wanted to refer to. So I sent 2 links, one to Nature Bright, another one to the Get Clean Kit. And I said, most of my clients love to start right here with this package. And that was it, just 2 places to go for her to look. So hands, that's the 3rd step. Hands is your call to action. That would be, in this case, if I'm talking with a new prospect, my call to action would be to help her come to a decision about which way she'd like to start with the products. And then I would close again with my heart story, because what do I really want her to remember? I want her to remember how I'm making her feel, how there's that transfer of emotion. So my closing heart story really sinks the decision. And that would be to share with her, you know, growing up, or as my daughter was growing up, it was really, really important to me to have a house that was toxin free, because once you have a baby crawling around, and I know she has grandchildren, and so I would say, and now that I have grandchildren, and I know as you do too, the importance of using non-toxic stuff has really come back to me in a more powerful way. And I'm so happy to be able to share this with you. So that's just a little example of how the heart, head, hand, heart flow works
Process,
when you're sharing. Yeah.
And it's, you know what, the people who get really, really good at this do very, very well in business and can attract people. And I know that we listen to it, and there's so many nuances in there, like with what Joan was doing. Joan was, you know, just, again, she got the heart of the matter. She got the head, which is the thing. And then the hand is getting the next appointment. So there's that process. So when you, for those of you who are new and haven't practiced this or don't know how to do it, it is connecting with someone, building the rapport, and having the conversation. Those are the 3 biggest elements, is connecting with someone rather than talking at them, which is what Pam was saying she did with Bill Whitney Burt. I think that's his name. And so many years back. But, you know, you have to connect with the person, and it's really important that you listen. So connecting, building the rapport, and then having the conversation. You know, Donna's very good at this. She cares enough about people to find out about them. And it's not that she wants to sell them. It's that she really cares enough about them to hear what their needs are and what they might want, that she can fill a need.
It's the form.
Yeah, form, family, occupation, recreation, message, which is another aspect of, you know, find out about people's family. You can mention that, Donna, if you want to share about form.
Right. Well, if you can hear me, is it okay? It's a little bit
Yeah.
better. I just think it's critically important. because you're not only building a business partner, you're also building a relationship for the rest of your life. It's, it's part of your family. And so what we do is we get a rush in our body when we see someone and we think, oh my God, they'll be so great in Shack, I gotta tell them up. And it's just like, so the adrenaline's pumping, and you just have to throw in that word form. And remember that it's about them and listen to them. So it's about their family. Wow, how's your family? I haven't seen you in a while, and tell me about it. And then, are you still working at the same place? Have you retired? Or, what's happening? Get excited about it. And while with this Corona situation, have you been able to get out and get any recreation? And do you work out at the gym and whatever? So it's all about them. It's not about you. And because I just, and then the message could not be about money. That's not necessarily what it is. The message could be, what you have said, and it could be that Phil felt fun. Those are the two most important words you can remember. Well, the Phil felt fun is 3 words, but so 4 words: form, Phil felt fun. And
Also, one of the things that the message, and I'm going to continue now with the process here, the message can be, which is, would you mind if I just share a little story with you? It won't take long. So after you go through family, occupation, recreation, message, find out about them, you then know a little bit more, as Pam heard. She found out about that this woman had a need and was dissatisfied about something. And I'm going to be going through some of the other steps of the importance of the story and how it goes. But the message can be, is it okay if I share my story with you? It won't take long. Then you can then share your story that we're going to help you work on a little bit tonight. So this is where you say, is it all right if I tell you my story real quick? And what you're going to say, there's 4 elements to parts to sharing your story. And I'm going to have Susie come in. I'm going to just cover this slide first, Susie, and then I'm going to have you talk a little bit about how you handle the story. So you want to tell people your background. So for example, I was a former yoga teacher studying to be a special education teacher. And I found that I wasn't making enough money as a yoga teacher. So what didn't you or don't like? What wasn't perfect for you is the next step. That's a really important part. As Pam mentioned, the heart is very important. The heart helps you make people get the feeling that you have. And the second point, why I put 4 stars there, is that's most important. People don't care how successful that you are, really. What they care about is they want to relate to you. And so when you tell them that I was a yoga teacher and I couldn't make enough money as a yoga teacher, and I realized being a special education teacher wasn't good for me because I'd come home crying all the time and want to bring all the children home with me. And my mother said, I don't think this is the way for you to go. So I was looking for something. I was looking for, well, how am I going to support myself for the rest of my life in the way I'm accustomed because I lived very well. So I found a solution to another part of my life that was introduced. I was introduced to by my yoga teacher who was a purist. And I feel so great now that I have this wonderful business that I've built and worked on that I can actually pass along to my children. So can you see how I covered all 4 of those points in my story? I shortened it for you, but it was quick, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So those are the 4 major points of sharing a story. Your background, we all have it. We've all done other things, or we're currently doing things. What you didn't or don't like about what you're doing currently, what wasn't perfect for you. You found a solution to another part of your life, which happens to be Shaklee, and how you feel about the future now. And so that's once you are able to, after you ask, is it all right if I share my story? And it'll be real quick. And then you wait for the response. Then you listen to what they have to say. And one thing he mentioned, which was really interesting to me, is when you get vulnerable and you show that vulnerability, people will not criticize you. They won't be jealous of you. They won't have a negative feeling about you because you were real and you were authentic. Jennifer Cancio's on, and we were talking about this because many of us, most of us, are not salespeople. Most of us are just people who want to really help people. And so this takes the onus over. We don't have to make a sale. We don't have to make a close. We just have to guide people to a solution that will solve a problem. Susie, why don't you share a little bit about your concept and the story?
Sure, and it includes these 4 components. And I would ask them if they want to hear my story after building some rapport, after talking a little bit. And hey, can I tell you my story? And so far, they've always said yes. And I've typed mine up, and I have redone it and redone it and redone it as my life changes here and there. I've also recorded it in less than 2 minutes, and it's part of my signature, and people love watching it. They get a kick out of it. I give them a gift if they watch it. So, would you like to hear my story? And they're like, yeah. Well, with a background in teaching, and now I'm getting my master's in clinical counseling, I'm really grateful for the steps that I took 25 years ago to take care of myself physically, financially. Now I get to work part-time, pays for me to go to school. It's awesome. So let me tell you, back in 1995, I thought I was like a really good shopper. But I was working out at a gym, and the owner was like, well, if you're such a good shopper of supplements, why do you have PMS almost the entire month, and your husband is threatening to start a men's support group? And she really got me. I was like, well, I'm not sure. These don't seem to be working. And I really had convinced myself that they were. So I tried the supplements, and I could not believe the difference. 25 pounds literally just started to fall off. I didn't check calories, which I loved because I hated counting calories. I had more energy. My husband dropped the idea of starting a men's support group. He was so grateful. He's like, please take your supplements. He was really grateful with that. I had a lot of energy at the end of the day for my 4 little guys, the dog, my husband. It was a huge difference. And today, I love telling my story. I love walking alongside my customers because they're seeing improvements. So I like hearing about their health stories or, their financial improvements. So it's been really cool. So I'm wondering if, we can meet for like 20 minutes and I can share more of the experience and see if you like what you hear. If you don't, no big deal. But what's really important is what you hear may be perfect for somebody else you know. So can we set up a time to meet? And that's often how I use it. Sometimes I won't use a whole story, or if I know weight loss is important to somebody, I'll focus a little more on that. But what's really cool is there's really nothing to memorize because it's me. And the same with Joanne. That's who she is, and that's what happened to her. And that's what I love. So I organize my thoughts, and that's why I write it down. But I don't need to memorize. I wrote it down, but I really put it aside. But it's nice to be organized and have it in that sequence. You're on mute, Joanne.
It does make a big difference when you do write it down. I know I had to speak in front of the master coordinators a couple of years ago. And, here I've got all my peers, and there's 100 master coordinators in the room. And I did write my story down to really review it and and I had Pam edit it. I had other people look at it and edit it. And I got clearer and clearer and clearer. And I synthesized it down to something so simple that I owned it even more than by writing it down. So I encourage you all to write it down. We also encourage you to practice it with someone. So practice it with your upline.
Can I say something there, Joanne?
Sure.
Because I practiced it also. And when I first started doing my story, I did it with Richard Brooks. And so I did it online with him during an exercise with a whole big group. And after like 5 words, he was like, stop. He said, who is that? Like, I wasn't relaxed. It wasn't me. So he really brought home how important it is to be authentic and to just be you. And the other thing I wanted to say was about having this 2-minute story in my signature on my emails. My 10-year-old grandson, I emailed him about something else, and he emailed me back and he's like, okay, I listened to your video. When do I get my gift? I never expected him to listen to my Shackley bio, my story. But you know what? That may stick with him, the information that he
Sure it
heard.
will.
No
Sure it will.
coincidences.
Sure it will. I'm going to put someone on the hot seat at the moment. Gary Mendelson. You there? I can't see you.
Always.
Okay, good. Share your
That's-
story. We want to hear, we want to hear, and it doesn't have to be perfect or right or anything, any of you that I call on. It just has to, we have to have examples. So would you share your story?
Sure. And I'm shy, Joanne, so it doesn't bother me. When I sit with somebody and I appear to create a rapport with them, which is not, I'm very fortunate. It's not hard for me to do that. When I hear key terminology that I can interject, I'll say, can I tell you a story? Several years ago, I got introduced to Shackley in a very unique way. I was building a basketball net in our backyard. And I know I'm only 5'4" and not supposed to like basketball, but it's one of my favorite sports. And our neighbor came over and he offered help. Now, he'd been our neighbor for 2 years. After we got the net up, he says, come on, we'll play some basketball. And we played basketball. And I thought we ran like crazy. And I thought to myself, we've been going for 30 minutes. And I said, let's slow down for a minute. I got to catch my breath. And he holds up 3 fingers. And I wondered, what the heck was he talking about? And I said, what'd that mean? He says, we've been playing for 3 minutes, not 30 minutes. And he turned around and said the simplest thing ever. He said to me, he said, how would you like to feel better? And being someone who was into natural things, and I was very excited. I could last 30 minutes in an hour and a half class for the martial arts. And he says, let me bring you a sample. And we sat and talked about it. And when I started the product, there was a major, major difference in my health. I went from between 12 and 15 colds a year to nothing no colds or anything like that for over 30 years. And I was able to take, and as I tell people now, at the age of 59, I've received my 5th degree black belt, a 7-hour exam, and the age of 69, at Shackley's convention in Atlanta, I ran the 5K around the stadium that they blew up after we ran the 5K. And it's been a major component in the health of my life. Is that something that would interest you? And I leave it at that.
Yeah, and I would, so good at Gary, a gift that Gary has is a sense of humor, and that that's always helpful. But there's also the heart and the need and all of that. How about if I call on Super Snicky? Sue, you want to share your story?
Oh, sure. Actually, my story started when I was 18, and my sister, she was working with somebody that was taking Shackley vitamins. So she brought these vitamins home, and my mother and myself also started taking them, and everybody felt really good. And then over time, I kind of gotten away from it. I attended college, and then I became a special education teacher. And that's when I started picking up all these bugs, like ear infections, sinus infections. And I had chronic PMS as well. And so I was thinking, I really need to find a Shackley distributor, because I had remembered the good results I got when I was a teenager. And so I found her. She only lived about 3 or 4 miles away from me. She set me up on just a basic program. And lo and behold, I started getting all these side benefits. My sinus infections, everything disappeared. And then my PMS got better. I had issues focusing, that improved. And then over time, everything just got drastically better. And I just decided I wanted to share that with people because my results were so profound and I was so excited about it. And then having retired from teaching 10 years ago, I've just had the desire to keep sharing and finding people that, that I can help. So I just feel as passionate about it as I did from day one.
And that's excellent because it had most of the elements in there of the first, of the 4, and you did start incorporating the business into it a little bit. And it's where you can say, and I found not only that I improved my health, but I found a second source of income for myself where I'm enjoying it more than ever.
Yes.
So just to complete the full package, so they know that you're nutritional. And congratulations, by the way. I know you've had a couple of really great months. I think
Thank
you did
you.
hit 3,000. Was it?
2.
2. Congratulations. See, I'm thinking you're already.
That's huge for me, right?
Well, no, that's great.
Well, I'm excited about it.
3 and go beyond, especially as you work on your story a little bit more in incorporating the business, because we can add on, and we've talked in our Thursday nights that we want a strong consumer-based business so that when we find our business builder and our team partner, and that's what all these conversations are going to be about, everybody, that we're going to be talking about, is you want to share the full picture, not just good nutrition, but the fact what I've found is a whole new life for myself, which has given me an incredible income stream that I'm really enjoying, and the future is bright and beautiful. And then you shut up, then you zip your lip, and you see what someone says. Well, tell me more. Can I share a video with you? Do you know of anyone who might be interested in something like that, either better health or maybe extra income? I'm expanding, my business. It depends, listen and learn from them and see what you can say. My gardener is very slow in my journey with her, but she's taking her stress relief and she likes it. Yay. I've helped this woman get rid of some anxiety. And for my yoga teacher is really slow. I mean, her whole frame of reference is, I'm just sharing my story little by little and building the rapport. So be gentle and be sensitive to people. You don't want to fire hose them. Jennifer Cancio, you're on. You want to share your story?
Sure. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay, so I actually have not written out a story, so this is good for me to work it through so I can then write it. I am 51, and in my late 30s, I was having...
All right, let's start with the 4 steps. So what we're going to do is the first, you're going to say, did I miss that? That you're I know your age, but are you a health professional, your Pilates instructor?
Oh, okay.
You give your background first.
Okay.
Let me pull up the slide. Did I put it up here? No.
Oh, wait. Right there.
Your background. There it is.
Okay. Gotcha.
Everybody
Thank
look
you.
at this when you're sharing your story, your background, what you didn't or don't, what wasn't perfect. Let's see if we can formulate it around that.
Okay. So my background is I'm a Pilates trainer, and I am now a health coach. And about 10 years ago, I was going through a divorce, and I had been a Pilates trainer actually overseas, moved back to the US, and I was looking for a change and a way to rebuild my life with my daughter in this country as I started the next chapter of my life. So I became a health coach and was introduced to Shaklee around that time. And at the time, I was healing from a major health crisis from chronic fatigue. And I was taking a very overpriced B complex. It was about $80 a month that worked. And my upline introduced me to the Shaklee B complex for significantly less than that also worked. And so that got me very curious about what Shaklee had to offer. So I found the business and the products around the same time. What I didn't like about Pilates and that type of work is that if I didn't show up, I didn't get paid. And the work down here where I live in Florida is very seasonal. And then, if there's a hurricane threatening to hit the coast, that's another 3 weeks of no work because people leave and all of that kind of a thing. So as I found that the products were working for me and decided to say yes to the business, I really decided this is all going all over the place, but whatever, I'm going to continue.
Yeah. No, that's what this is all about.
Yeah. Okay. Because I've got two different stories. I realized my healing through Shaklee, and then what made me want to actually become a distributor and then take this full time. So, okay. So you have my background. So what I didn't like about the way Pilates was working is that it's very seasonal, and I was just building up my health coaching practice and was incorporating Shaklee with my health coaching practice. And as I saw results in myself, I saw results in my clients' blood work, and I really thought, oh, when I see my clients getting better using these products, preventing a major illness and getting very strong, I knew there was a lot to these products and also to this business. And it was a combination of dissatisfaction with the fluctuations in income and the seasonal income here that I decided I've just had enough, and I really want to take this business on full time. My daughter is a sophomore in high school, and I set the goal for myself for me to have a full-time career income by the time she graduates from high school, so that when she's in college, I can visit her and I can work from anywhere. So I'm at the beginnings of building this business, but I am just excited about the potentials for the business because I've seen so much success. So I really feel very hopeful about my future in that I can make Shaklee my main, if not only, source of income by the time my daughter graduates from high school.
That's great, and I thank you, my putting you on the spot. And
Yeah.
as Susie was saying, but that's good because everybody's got to see that we have to talk our way through it. It isn't instantaneous, even though it's you're authentic and it's who you are. It's finding the words and setting it up and rewriting it and crossing out too many words, because you can say too much. It should be very short, because you say, is it all right if I tell you my story real quick? So you have to have a real quick one too, because you don't want to give them your life story. You want to give them it's synthesized into a very clear, heartfelt message, which then can lead you into more of the head stuff, which is then, I have a thing. My thing would be, how would you like to, it might be the bulk presentation. I'm going to talk about the business model. So you can have a business story and you can have a product story as well, because I have both, and I usually incorporate both in mine. So I get, because I was studying to be a special education teacher and I didn't make enough money at either of those things, I was trying to figure out how I was going to support myself, and that's how I found Shaklee. And I'm so happy because I was able to fit everything that I want in life into this one opportunity. Okay,
Joanne, I just wanted to add one thing here too, because so many people, the doorway that they enter through Shaklee is through the product. And
Right.
One of the things that always, I think, is something you can have in your back pocket is that, in fact, I love the product so much, I decided to make it a business.
Mm.
I decided to develop a business because I love the product so much. And that people get that, they get that right away. So you can always blend the two together.
Yep, that's a great way of saying it. Okay,
Can I ask a question, Joanne?
Sure.
So sometimes our story is a product story. Sometimes our story is a business story. I was kind of melding them together because I had no organization. How many of you who, when you talk to somebody, for those of you very experienced, when you talk to somebody for the first time who is saying, oh, I need to lose some weight, and you know, that conversation ensues, how many of you tell the business story with that moment when it's an opportunity to present a product? You know, how many of you tell that full story, business and product, in the first conversation?
no, I would just do product for that person.
Product. Okay.
You have to answer their question or
Mhm.
their interest. You can't go off on your own or you'll lose them.
Okay.
That's my opinion. you know.
Yeah, that's a great opinion. That's right on, Gary. Exactly. You have to listen, and people don't, you have to fill their needs and answer their problems, not what you're looking for.
Hmm.
So but I'm always looking for partners in business because that's what I love. That's my best product that I feel, that I have, that I adore, and my passion is to help people be financially independent and secure. And if they're not, then, I have a possible solution for them. So, okay, let's look at the all other prospects side, which is here on the far right. So, for example, I did, you saw the DeGainer team last Thursday, and what a great group of people they are. And I think Faye was really very strong with that. If you are a leader to a degree that you have a business, you're the leader of that business, and people will relate to you, not to me. So that's where you're going to be the person who leads your group. For newer people who don't have that experience, you would use your upline. So I am Lauren's mentor, let's say, and so she will, I always tell my new builders that I work for them. And it's for my new builders, because I believe mostly everyone here knows as much as they need to know in order to go forward. Every single one of you that are leaders, Gary and all of you, you're leaders. You just do your thing, and you share it and teach your people and help your people by sharing your story with those people. And so, for example, you may do the opportunity presentation with it, for some of your new people. So you want to create a team of people in the prospecting. I talked to Lauren today. There's a person that had bought a PIC program that, she's going to follow up on and talk to. That's teaching them, but also I'm there and available for them. So you're going to meet with all the other prospects for your new people. They don't know enough. They don't know how to say it, what to say. So with the DeGainer group, they had a very powerful gal, Julie Landy, who was on the call, on the Zoom. You saw her. They wanted me to meet with her. So we did a big Zoom but I said to Colleen and I said to Julie, who are the two heads of that line, I said, I will do that. I will be there with you, but you guys are going to be there so that they know who the lineage is and that they have team partners besides me, because I'll only come in occasionally because they're the leaders of their team, because they're sales leaders. So I did meet with Julie Landy. I shared my story. I went through the opportunity presentation in sort of not a detailed way, but not numbers, but I shared her the big picture and the vision of what Shaklee can mean for her as a second source of income. Did I make that clear enough? Any questions? Remember, it's conversation. So you have Donna Titus, those of you, Joan, whomever else is on the line of Donna's. Donna's has some good people showing up on these calls. You know that she's there for you, but you're also leaders, but you can introduce your people to Donna so she can be the example with her story, and share her vision of bringing in a team and having that team effort. Then the momentum starts to build because you're one unit. You're your own essence of a big team. Gary and Dawn have their essence in leadership. Susie Sunkel, Pam Budner, you all have people on. Mary Beth, you're the leaders of your organization, so it's important for you to share your story and invite people that you're trying to help build, bring you people. And if they're not having conversations with people to bring you people, their business, and I think it's right, let me get to the next slide. In the conversations, that magic will happen, everybody. If you're not having conversations, if your conversations have stopped in your business is dead. You know, I remember talking to George Shaw, biggest business owner of all of Shaklee. And he asked me how I was doing. And I said, well, I'm maintaining. He goes, there is no maintaining. There's either going forward or backwards. And I went, okay, forward, adelante. So remember that if you're not having conversations with new people, and now that everything is opening up, you know, we started the rising road and we are on that rising road and things are happening. We have the biggest month in March and it's getting larger and larger. As we go forward, we're getting new people. The next step, did I miss a page? Oh, where did it go? All right, well, I think
there.
Nope. I had the Bolt presentation in
Oh.
one, so hold on. All right. I'm gonna have to pull it up, everybody.
That's right. Well, Joanne, while you're doing that, I just wanted to mention one thing, especially helped me a lot when I got going, because I had so many doubts that I could do what I wanted to do or carry on a conversation for people. And in those days we had tape recorders. Now you have your iPhone. So whether it's you trying to, whether you have a goal for the end of December, reach that goal. I mean, put it into an iPhone, you know, it's December 2020 and I'm so excited I've reached my goal. I have X amount of whatever you want to do, create it and put it on. And listen to your voice, because the person you're going to listen to most, you can listen to all these famous people out there that give you great motivation, but the person who really helps you the most is yourself. And so if it's even practicing your story and putting it on your iPhone and listen to yourself, how are you communicating? And get it to the point where you're excited about it. And this follows through in anything that we do in life. I think when you really take some time to work on yourself.
Definitely personal development. I really had a nice conversation with Lauren today, who has young children, and I was talking about this book that I really love, and that's a good point about sharing, getting excited. And this book I'm so excited about. I really loved it. And when you love something, you really want to share it with other people to tell them how great it is. And she was talking, I said, well, when would you have time to read? And she belongs to an accountability group that is working on personal development. You know, those are the kinds of things that we look for in someone who could do well in this business. Let me go back to all other prospects. After you've done the opportunity presentation, and the next step, third step, would be getting started, basic training, and we have that. So that's the third step here, and that we have we have Partners with Nature. What is it? PW, Partnership with Nature Partners, and that is where it has the basic training that you can send people to. Now, some people in our organization might do something different, but we've been teaching the Partnership with Nature Partners to start people where it has everything in one place. Then the fourth step, now this is not from what we've created, this is what major network marketing people who are very successful and have built large businesses are doing. The fourth step is skills training. That's what we're doing on these Thursdays. We're helping the new people learn some skills. Laura, you're new. I didn't ask you to share your story now, but you can work on it with Donna and Rick and Jeanette and, you know, discuss it and refine it and practice it. And I know with your personality, you'll have great success in Shaklee. So what opportunity presentation I want to ask, I'm going to open it up. This is the Bolt presentation. I want to open this up. Who's sharing opportunity presentations with people? Anybody showing the business model right now?
Yeah, I am, and I love
I
the
am.
Bolt. This is always the first piece for me.
Right.
Because
And,
it tells what the prospect, tells me what the prospect is interested in. I can ask a lot of questions.
Okay, well, you know that Roger is, this is the Bolt presentation here, and if you haven't taken it out in a long time, I'd like to have you take it out and practice it with people. Practice it with some people. Say, you know, I built basically, I think, about over 9 sales leaders when I was doing the Bolt presentation on a big movement. And I think it's really important for us to share this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through it. I haven't done it in a while myself. So,
Joanne,
but-
could you enlarge your screen?
oh, thank you. Appreciate it.
And before people ask, I'll be posting that with this call.
Okay, great. And this is such a simple presentation. Joanne Boltinghouse, who created it, made Master Coordinator. She set herself a goal to share this 15-minute presentation with as many people as she could in the shortest period of time. And she would kind of ask the same kind of question that, and put yourself on mute, everybody. So I'm getting some feedback. She would use the question, can I share something that I've been introduced to? I have to practice, and it's only going to take 15 minutes. Can I practice on it with you? Or if they're existing Shaklee members, she might call them and say, you know, I really didn't do my job correctly from the beginning with you, and I feel really badly. I have a 15-minute presentation I'd just like to share with you. Yeah, can I have 15 minutes of your time? So this is, right now, Roger's asking all of us to have 30 conversations from between the 21st and the 24th. This could be one of the pieces that you might use to ask people if you have 15 minutes of that you can have 15 minutes of your time. Or you can say, you know, do you mind if I share my story with you and use that? So I've given you 2 techniques that you can practice and try. And let's set a goal to have 30 people. Now, I'm going to share, after I do this, I'm going to share something, and I want to open up the lines. But this is what's called a Bolt presentation, and it's kind of named after a good friend of mine who felt that she needed to really explain something that she felt so passionate about. And I saw it, and it's so related to who I am and what I've been given, the gift I've been given. So I wanted to share this with you tonight. The Shaklee lifestyle has been so meaningful for me. I've been in it for I've been involved with the company for a number of years, but it has 5 pillars of benefits, this company. And we have a benefit of better health. And I can share my health story with you. You know, I got involved in health because of my father dying of obesity when he was 55 years old. And I knew I better take charge of my health because it was very sad for my family. And I was a young girl when he died. Then I was also needing some income, but there's a benefit of income by helping people be healthy. Excuse me, just a minute. And then, you know, what I realized was I didn't really like checking in. There's a benefit of time with your family, not having to go off to a job all day. So there's a benefit of being able to have income with the freedom over your own time. And boy, that seemed like a really good benefit to me. And then tax benefits. This kind of lifestyle provides incredible tax benefits, which it's not so much what we make, but it's what we keep. I have an interesting story. You know, my daughter makes quite a large income, as do I now. And, you know, she pays a lot of taxes on that income because she doesn't have an in-home business. I don't pay as many taxes, and I get to keep a lot more of the income that I get from my Shaklee business. And then there's purpose, and that was the real clincher for me, because if it didn't have a good purpose behind it, none of those 4 elements would have meant anything to me, because I wanted to do well by doing good. And that's what this company also offers. And I can share and provide some more information to you about this. But many people have 3 questions about this business. You know, what are the benefits? What is Shaklee? How does it work? And maybe what's my next step? Well, Shaklee has been around for over 60 years. We're the #1 natural nutritional company in the US. We are in a network marketing business, which means that we directly represent to people all these benefits. It's not some big lot company, it's person-to-person company, and we represent the company. They're our umbrella company to allow us to spread this word and this message. They do over 300 million in research and over, really, I think 100,000 quality tests now on every raw material that goes into our products. We have over 100 peer-reviewed journals. And I don't necessarily mention all of this to everybody every time, depending upon where I think their interest might be. I might go over some of those, but we've paid over $5 billion to people to just share better health and a healthier environment. They've paid over $5 billion to people like you and me, which is very exciting. Let me move this up. How does it work? Well, how it works is, as I said, it's people to people. Everybody can get in as a member to save on these products that are better than what you would get at the grocery store. And I'll share some information if you have interest after this talk, where you can save about 15% off all the products. And that's basically where I started initially. And I got better health. I felt better. I had more energy. And I thought, I love these products so much, I think I'll share them with some people. I could use a little $500 extra. Actually, I wanted $50 a week extra, but you know, $500 per month extra as a distributor, just by sharing it with a few people who might also want to be healthier and protect our environment. And then it's called a stair step of ability to expand. And that was the other thing that I loved about this, was there's no glass ceiling. I could go to any level, dependent upon my own efforts. You know, one thing that bothered me about working for other people, a boss, was I would do all the work and they'd get all the pay. So I didn't like that. And in this business, I'm able to get paid for my effort. And that's really exciting. And I realized that, wow, I could grow to higher levels, and each level can expand by what's called a business leadership level. So when I help other people become successful, I also become successful. So it's a win-win situation. And the more people we help and encourage to increase whatever they want in their life, then I can move up the ranks, as you could as well. And guess what? They even have an income car allowance where you can get a car for yourself, and you can get free travel. And I've experienced all of those multiple times, and anyone can. It's for everyone. And actually, when you see the income levels, wanting only $50 a week extra, I actually am now at this level, a master coordinator. And this is monthly income, which is way beyond what $50 a week is. But at each level, you can make up to $4,300 a month as an executive coordinator. I have a number of people that I've helped do that. And then, you know, some people can even out earn me that I've brought in, and that you want them to. So the top earner in Shaklee makes about $50,000 per month. It's hard to even say. I can stutter on that one. $50,000 per month. So that's how the business model works, and I can certainly provide you with more information. And at the bottom, this is how it all works, because we provide the best quality nutrients that money can buy. The #1 natural nutrition company. We've got sports nutrition, we've got energy products, we've got products for women's health, men's health, children's health. We have an incredible youth skincare line to help with the outside of our bodies. We work on the inside of our bodies to be healthy. We want our outside of our bodies to be healthy. And then there's also the cleaners. So that basically is the model. The next step I'll share with you if you want to hear more. So I want to thank you. All right. And again, I haven't done it in a long time, so I was kind of ad-libbing on the whole thing. And you can do the same thing. It's basically self-explanatory. I might have talked too much this time. I might shorten it down a little bit. I'd have more interaction with the person. I'd be talking to someone directly. But as I said, I've built 9 sales leaders on the recap just by using this business model. The second page of this is where you go into changing brands. What did you see that you liked? You ask them that question. You go into showing them what products do you use and see if they want to have a next appointment. Questions, anybody?
Hey, Joanne, Donna,
Yeah.
I'll send you the sheet that I have, but I take people through this. Sometimes, like, if you just have somebody that, like, say, for example, I have somebody come in and I potentially see that this could be something for them as a business, but right now they've got some serious issues going on, and I'll just say, I just want to, like we just did, you explained all that. And so I just want you to see what was available in check, but I know really what you're concerned about is your health and maybe being able to pay for your product. So let's just turn the sheet over, and then on the back, like you were saying, just which products do you use, and then on the back half of it, I have who you know, and so it's a square and it has just circles.
Right. I didn't put that sheet up here, but I will do, Donna, rather than going through that.
No, I don't want to go through it. No.
Yeah, send it to me, and what we'll do is we'll have it posted. And Gary Mendelson, have you seen this bulk presentation before?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay, and so there is Jennifer Cancio, have you seen it?
Yes, I have.
Okay, have you used it?
I used it, let's see. Yeah, I have used it a couple of times, and then I kind of walked away from it for some reason.
All right, well, again, we need to share some people will want to know the numbers at some point. This is just an overview that I might end this with saying, if I'm doing it as a business presentation because they want to earn some income, and I go through this, I'd ask them, where would you, if we work together, based upon us working together, where would you like to be in 1 year working with me? What kind of income would you like to be? I have some people who say they want to be a master coordinator. I said, realistically, do you have the time? Massive action equals massive results. Do you have time to put in to create that kind of business? So it's, if you have a lot of time and you want to go gung-ho, you could jump ranks very quickly and fast. But if you're only going to put an hour a week into it, or 4 hours a week into it, or 5, you're going to have a slower growth. So again, it is a tool. It's just a small presentation. This does end up being more conversational than I just did. And it doesn't have to be long. I just wanted to sort of give you the whole outline and overview of it. When I did grow with those other sales leaders, we practiced this each week. So if you have a sales leader or you have a person in your downline who wants to grow, you sit down with them and help them practice it. Donna, you know it, you're using it. If you get a builder, if you have a builder that's coming on board that wants to grow, and for example, the church person, show him the stair step and what's really available so he can see that he could make, $4,000 a month by creating a team within his church. That's pretty motivating for someone who already has a built-in organization. So then what I want to say, what I'm going to do is a call to action. Roger Barnett's putting a call to action out to us. Who's excited about it?
Yeah.
I'm really excited about it. I'm so excited about it. Lauren and I are setting up so this is the Shaklee Partners We're All Human campaign. Donna, Shaklee's really doing a big Spanish promotion right now, and the We Are All Human campaign you can look up, and it's basically Hispanic driven. I have not connected with your Spanish group in a while. You might want, I don't know if you have conversations with them, but that group it would be smart to really have them build on this one. So here's what I'm doing to share our lifestyle and culture of entrepreneurship with the Hispanic community. What I'm doing, Roger's asking our entire field, this means us, May 21 to 24, to use this same time to have 30 conversations about our lifestyle and income opportunity with their social network through virtual events. So Lauren and I, on Sunday, the 24th at 2 o'clock, and she's putting together an announcement, we are going to be doing an work from home anywhere presentation. And I am sending it out to every single consumer I have.
I've done
And
that.
I may get no one. Lauren and I will be there, but that's the kind of stuff we need to do. Get on board, be creative. The book that I fell in love with, they had one comment in there that I'm going to close with this, and then we can open up the conversation. He talked about wanting to meet up with a friend that he hadn't seen in a long time. And he said, we have to get together. And the guy said, yeah, we really do. We haven't seen each other. One was going one way, one was going the other way. And the guy turned around, he goes, what is an intention when compared to a plan? And he said, let's meet on the 29th of October. So their intention was to meet and get together. Without the plan to say we are going to get together, the intention just is sort of left in air. So if your intention is to build a business and your intention is to have 30 conversations with people, you've got to invite people. You've got to figure out where it's going to be. And so my plan is to do this event on Sunday, May 24th. It's going to be a Zoom. We're going to invite a lot of people, and we'll see who's going to join us. Okay, we're going to open it up. I'm going to stop my screen share.